I don't think law schools are doing their customers a service in terms of legal research. We live in a world, I hate to say this, but I think it's true, in which the disconnect between the academic branch of the profession and the practicing branch of the profession is greater than I've ever seen it in my entire life. Part of that is simply a function of the vastly increased complexity of the law. Take my own field, civil procedure. That universally was a full year, 90-hour course in every American law school of any caliber in this country 20 years ago. Today, if you look at civil procedure, most schools have made it a one-semester course and have reduced the 90 hours down to 75 or 60, and in a few cases, 45 hours. Now, you have to ask yourself why. The answer, in part, is that some of your basic subjects have simply gotten crowded out by making more academic time available for things that didn't even exist when I was in law school or when I was a young academic. We now have courses on an array of subjects of enormous interest to some people that have political significance in the sort of political correctness environment, that are tremendously interesting, that certainly speak to the 21st century, and the density of those courses is simply crowding out some of the basic subjects, diminishing them in terms of curriculum significance. Now, I think that has a number of effects. Number one is that less attention is being devoted to skill set development for the practicing lawyer. I'm not talking about the philosopher king or queen. I'm not talking about the guru or the Delphi oracle or the ruler of the world or the next Mr. Obama. I'm talking about the practicing lawyer. About 90-odd% of all the people coming out of law school. They're not getting the skill set development that I think they used to, and part of that skill set is research. And its first cousin, writing. So research and writing, yes, they're still in the curriculum, but not with the focus that they should have, and not with the seriousness that should be accorded to them. So if you ask me, are they coming out better researchers? No, they're not coming out better researchers. They're coming out technologically competent so that they're capable of becoming better researchers. But it's not the law school that's doing it for them in the first year. They have a sort of fumbleitis. They see the black box. They have a sense of what the black box can do for them. They have a sense that when they get into the real world, they'll be using the black box, and they will be doing a lot of research. But have they got a lot of time in grade in doing research? Have they had a lot of guidance in doing research? Not enough. Not enough. I watch my people who spend the full summer with me. And some of them spend not only the full summer, but part of the second and third year. They become effective researchers. They learn the magnificent ways that technology can be utilized to become more powerful researchers. Now, that might be read as a criticism of legal education. I leave that to you. "15 years ago, research and writing courses at most law schools refused to acknowledge the existence of the technology. Research and writing, sort of an odd first-year course, which typically gets no academic credit and therefore can be given the back of the hand and not taken seriously by people who don't understand how serious it really is. Today, almost all law schools expose their students to the technology. But do you know what? They don't expose them to the book. So they're still half-baked. They're baked on the other side. They used to be baked solely on the book, not on the technology. Today they're baked on the technology, not the book. I had 8 researchers last summer. On the first day of the summer, I said to them, how many of you know what an advance sheet is? Not a single one of them knew what an advance sheet was. How many of you know how to use an index? How many of you know about tables of authorities? 0, 0, 0, 0. And I pity the people who teach the legal research courses. They're not given enough time. They're not given enough stature. It's very hard to explain to the first-year law student why this really is significant. So I have kids, they wander in and think legal research is about Google. I can't think of a more obvious death wish than thinking that research begins with Google. But that's where we are. That they come up through education and through their maturing, through search systems that may be absolutely wonderful, like Google, which is wonderful. But it's distorting if you think you can use it rather than the legal tools. And they're just not exposed. They're not exposed to the books.